Alright guys, summer's pretty much over at this point, so I'm going to give you guys my top 5 park days that I had this summer. Now, this does not reflect my actual rankings of the parks I went to during the summer. However, I'd say these rankings actually reflect my rankings pretty well. So I'll go over all the parks that I did go to before we get into this top 5. So to start off, we've got Seabreeze. Duh. We've got Darien Lake, which, again, is another obvious one. I go here every year. We've got Cedar Point. We've got Hershey Park. We've got Knoebels. We've got Waldameer, Six Flags Over Georgia, Dollywood, Fun Spot Atlanta, and Six Flags Great Escape. So I will mention not every park day is equal. Some parks that are extremely good could have just had a bad day, and other parks that aren't that good could have had a good day. So with that being said, let's get into this ranking. Coming in at number 5 is July 27th at Six Flags Over Georgia. This was my first time here, and I will say this is a very good park. I actually haven't done a full review for this or Fun Spot Atlanta. However, I will most likely. However, Six Flags Over Georgia is a park with a really good coaster collection. It's headlined by Goliath, which is by far my favorite B&M of all time. They've also got Twisted Cyclone, Georgia Scorcher, which was a huge shock for me, Batman the Ride, Riddler Mindbender, Daredevil Dive, just a bunch of really good coasters. And Goliath really carries this lineup, because I have that way ahead of Twisted Cyclone personally, but the rest of the lineup is really good too, especially since Scorcher was a way better number 3 than I was initially anticipating. And of course, we gotta mention Monster Mansion, one of the best non-Universal or Disney dark rides. I mean, this thing really impressed me. I heard good things about it, I seen good things, but actually seeing it in person, wow. However, it was not all sunshine and rainbows here, because the operations are some of, if not the worst of any park. I mean, Goliath's crew and Georgia Scorcher's crew were the only good crews, I'm sorry. Other crews were very slow, and the ADA policy is atrocious. I get that you have to have an ADA policy, you should have one. It's definitely the right thing to do, but what is not the right thing to do is to let 6 people from the exit ramp waltz up and pick whatever row they want. So if you have a group and the person who has the disability wants to ride in the back, the same people in that group can ride in the front. It is the dumbest thing ever, but despite that, Six Flags Over Georgia was a good time. Up next, we've got Hershey Park, June 30th, and this was a pretty good day despite it being absolutely mobbed, because you really can't have a bad day at Hershey. I don't care if it's as slammed as a Disney or Universal park, this coaster collection's still equally as incredible as it is when it's dead. So you're still going to be able to get however many rides you want on Wildcats Revenge, or however many rides you want on Sky Rush, or pretty much anything else there, because yeah, this park is stacked. I absolutely love this park, and I do think the atmosphere is pretty good. However, I do think it's kind of been on the downswing ever since their attendance has really shot up, and obviously that's good for the park, but for the average guest, lines are just stupid at this point, and it's really hard to deal with, especially on a hot summer day like I was there. But anyways, you've still got Wildcats Revenge, an easy top 5 coaster. You've got Sky Rush, another top 10 coaster. Then, I mean, you've just got so much depth. Storm Runner, Candemonium, Comet, Lightning Racer, Laugh Track, Jolly Rancher Remix, Fahrenheit, Great Bear, Trailblazer, Super Duper Looper. Like, it's just absurd. I will say, just like Six Flags Over Georgia, the biggest issue was operations. Today in particular, they were just not good. Like, Wildcats Revenge was running 2 trains, which doesn't sound bad, but it throws off those operations completely, because the other train still has to go into the unload station and unload, and then it takes a bit for it to get back into the load. so it's really annoying. And the ops there definitely weren't as efficient, and pretty much every other ride had pretty slow ops, and Fahrenheit actually was running 3 trains. Candemonium was as well, but that doesn't help when you guys are stacking, because if you're double stacking, that's just holding up the line. That's making the people who are on the final breaks sit there longer and not be able to get over to the next ride. It is a big issue. Hershey definitely needs to find a way to move people through those lines. And Stormrunner, I'll give them credit, that crew was good, but other than that, it was just bad. So overall, this day at Hershey was a bit weaker than I've had before. A lot of the rides weren't quite running at their fullest potential, which was bizarre because it was a hot day. Skyrush was the only one that seemed like it was running better than normal, which was bizarre, but anyways, I think Hershey's kind of in a phase where they're just getting to the level of Cedar Point or Knott's Berry Farm, where it's just always busy, and Hershey doesn't quite know how to deal with that yet. But once they do, this is going to be a really tough park to beat, and it still is even right now. It's one of my favorite parks of all time, so definitely plan a trip to Hershey. At number 3, we have probably the most interesting park day, maybe that I've ever had, and that is on my birthday, July 28th at Dollywood. If you guys know what happened here, yeah, let's talk about this. So we get into the park before opening, like 15 minutes, and it starts normal, right? We're sorted by the log for Wildwood Grove, and I'm towards the middle of the pack for Rope Drop. I'm not at the front, but we get out there. I'm speed walking because I don't want to run, and I got second train of the day on Big Bear Mountain, right? Big Bear Mountain absolutely shot up in my rankings. I've definitely got to do a separate review for that. But yeah, that is such an incredible ride. And then I get on Thunderhead, no wait. Lightning Rod has a very short wait. And pretty much everything else in this park had a very short wait. It was bizarre to see compared to my last visit, which had huge lines. And I feel like most days at Dollywood, this park gets big crowds. But today, I think people were onto something, and we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I'll just go over the ride lineup here. Lightning Rod was incredible. I still have no clue why people hate on it. I like this Lift Hill version more than Steel Vengeance. Big Bear Mountain was an incredible ride. That's in my top 30. That was a top 4 ride of the trip. Just so much good floater, and it's just a perfect experience. Thunderhead fell in my rankings a bit. Wild Eagle actually climbed. Tennessee Tornado took a little bit of a fall as well. Just didn't quite do it for me this time. Mystery Mine made a big climb in my rankings now that I got to see what all the effects were like. Fire Chaser, it's a fun family coaster. So is Dragonflyer, so is Blazing Fury, and then Whistlepunk Chaser, it's a Zamperla Kitty coaster. I was able to get 30 rides in the 7 hours I was there, including 15 on Lightning Rod, which was absolutely amazing, 4 on Big Bear Mountain, 4 on Thunderhead, 2 on Eagle and Tornado, and then 1 on everything else except Dragonflyer, because I skipped it, because Big Bear Mountain actually had a way shorter line than Dragonflyer throughout the day, which was absolutely shocking. And yeah, Big Bear Mountain was at like a 10-minute wait all day, so you really can't complain about that. Not that I would really care about waiting in that line, because there's so much to look at. But anyways, it was a really good day so far. And then the clouds rolled in. I got 4 absolutely pouring torrential rain rides on Lightning Rod. Those were some of the most amazing yet painful rides I've ever had on any coaster. That quad down was absolutely just launching me. It was such a good time. And I even got a Zen ride on this thing. I don't know how many people have ever gotten a Zen ride on L-Rod. That's just crazy. And the last ride in particular was just one of the most memorable experiences ever, because it was just me and some other random person I met. We're sitting in the back row, and we look off to our left, and we see this absolutely massive flash of lightning, and then hear this crack of thunder, like just a couple seconds after it, and we just started cheering the whole way. Like, that was maybe the loudest I've ever cheered on a coaster. Like, that was one of the craziest rides. And then, of course, they had to shut it after that. I'm stunned that they didn't shut it earlier, but I'm kind of glad. So then, of course, I ate my cinnamon bread. We stood undercover for like a half hour and just watched it absolutely pour down. And eventually we caught a bit of a slow period for a bit, and then we headed out to our car, only to realize some of the cars were submerged in water. Everything was just flooded. Like, it looked bad from where we were in the park, right by Lightning Rod. But in the parking lot, oh my god, some of those cars were absolutely done. There was no way those were getting out of the parking lot. Ours was thankfully on higher ground, so we didn't really get affected by it. But some people were absolutely screwed. I have no clue what they did. So yeah, we had to sit there for like 2 hours. There was like this huge log in the middle of the road preventing people from getting out. And of course, like the 3-foot high water. At one point, we even had to trek through it, which was crazy. And then eventually they did lead us down a service road, which gave some amazing views. So I definitely had a really good day there. And like my dad said, even if you loved it or hated it, that was one of the most, if not the most memorable birthday you'll ever have. And I definitely agree with that. And number 2 is Cedar Point, August 22nd. This is by far the most recent, and I had a very good day here. This was for sure my best day at Cedar Point. I was with Nathaniel Hanvu. You might know him from American Ninja Warrior Jr. He's kind of the guy that beat me, but yeah, we're still good friends. This park definitely has the best coaster collection in the world. I'm sorry, Hershey Park or Energylandia fanboys, like, this is it. I'm sorry to sound basic, but this is the best lineup in the world. It's got my number 2 coaster overall being Magnum XL200. Just, what the hell? Maverick is my number 8 overall. That also really impressed me. Steel Vengeance is my number 12 overall. I'm sorry, guys. Gemini. That ride shocked me. That thing feels like Runaway Mine Train's Death Hill over and over again. Millennium Force is alright. Raptor's the 3rd best invert. Wild Mouse, that was my first time on it, and wow, I spun more than on any other ride, period. Gatekeeper was alright. Blue Streak was good. Valraven is such a nothing ride. Rougarou is definitely better than it. You got Corkscrew, Iron Dragon, just such a stacked ride lineup. I mean, nothing even comes close. And I get that they don't have good flat rides, but I mean, does anyone care? I don't care that this place doesn't have good flat rides or dark rides. It has the best coaster collection in the world. And in terms of atmosphere, this park was so much better than I remember in 2021. It's just something special. Walking into a place with coasters on all sides of you, you cannot look around this park without seeing a coaster or 2 or just however many you can see. It's so visually impressive going down the causeway, and then once you actually get into the park, you're just so immersed. Not in the way that you are in Dollywood. Like, it's just, you're immersed in an enthusiast's paradise. I absolutely love it, especially with the water on 3 sides of you. It's just such a cool looking park. The operations here are also some of the best of any park. These guys are almost Universal level. Not Knoebels level, but they're definitely one of the best. They can't really stop the high crowds, which is definitely one of the worst parts about this park. However, I went on a Thursday when kids were back in school. Like I said, Nathaniel was there. He was only there for a few hours after he got out of school in Ohio. So yeah, it was pretty dead for Cedar Point. But that being said, Maverick still had like a 45-minute line. Steel Vengeance was around 20. Like, there was some big lines. The only one that never had a line was Magnum. And I'm grateful for that because I got 7 rides in on it, and I definitely would have gotten more if it didn't shut down at the end of the night. But still, overall, Cedar Point's just one of the best parks in the world. Definitely my number 2 park. And if you haven't been here or you're a Cedar Point hater, definitely go back. Now, if you're a normal person, you'd probably have that day at Cedar Point at the tippy top of this list. However, I'm definitely not a normal person. So coming in at number 1 is July 26th at Fun Spot America Atlanta. This is still my favorite park. I just absolutely love how stupid this place is. That it's basically a carnival with what is easily the greatest coaster of all time. And that is, of course, Air Force One. Nothing even comes close to this. I absolutely love Magnum's finale. I love its jankiness. I love the rest of the layout. But it does not compare to Air Force One. Not even in the slightest. You can obviously watch my 18-minute review on it and just hear me rave about it. But I'm going to do a little bit of that in this video too. Just, what the hell is this? The finale is the greatest thing on the planet. Magnum's is amazing, but there's not as many of them on Magnum's finale, and they're not even close to as rapid fire as these. And I do think they are slightly stronger in strength. They don't have that, like, scary factor. Like, it doesn't feel like you're sort of going to slip out of the restraint. But don't worry, Air Force has a hill that's like that too, if you want that. But yeah, just that finale alone would be a top 5 coaster. And before that, you've just got the most insane sequence of elements ever. They all feel like different elements, yet they flow so nicely into each other that it just feels like one continuous speed run. You've got the double up, where if you want that scary, I'm about to fall out of my seat feeling, you've got it. Because if you've got minimum verify on that, which, by the way, these ops are amazing. They will always let you get minimum verify. They do not care. You don't have to do any tricks. You could just leave it up and they'll just pull up on it. And these guys are incredible. Yeah, that double up absolutely gives you that feeling like, holy, I am about to fly out of here. It is so strong. And then right after that, no time to rest, you've got the arcade roll, which is by far the most insane inversion. You've got the twist and shout right after that. You're trying to comprehend everything, and then you just get absolutely flung to the right and up. Then you got the ground hugger, which pulls some good G's, and then you got one last 0G roll before the finale, just to disorient you even more. And before all that, you've got an amazing Outer Bank, by far the best stall of all time, what is definitely the best speed hill of all time, and 2 good warm-up elements being the first drop and the Raven Trust dive. This is just, oh my god, so far ahead of everything else. And these ride ops are the best. They're not the most efficient, but I don't care. It was absolutely pouring rain. It was just me and James sitting on the train at the end of the day. And they're just like, oh yeah, let's keep it going. Is there lightning in the area? I don't know. I don't really care. Let's keep going. Eventually, they did shut it down for lightning in the area a couple hours before park closed, which was annoying. But, like, these ride ops were, like, getting us hyped up. It was so good. And that's the other thing. A lot of people say this park has the worst atmosphere ever. This has one of the best atmospheres ever. It is on a parking lot. It is quite literally a parking lot. You can see the parking spots. There's cracks in the ground. It is hilarious. And then you get to Air Force One, and it's got this grand, like, space-feeling soundtrack. It's got good theming, and then it's got these operators who are absolutely incredible. I absolutely love these guys. I was there for only 7.5 hours because we got there a bit late, and then, of course, it shut down. But I still got 70 rides on Air Force, plus 1 on the other 2 credits, which I didn't even mention the rest of the ride lineup because it doesn't really have one. A lot of people say, oh, do the Scream and Swing and go-karts. No, why would I want to do that when I have the greatest coaster of all time? And that is why this is the best park in the world. You can sit on the greatest coaster of all time all day. You can get easily over 10 rides an hour on it. So, yeah, that's why that was my best park day of the summer, and also my best park day period. So, yeah, I've got a lot of unpopular opinions in here. So, I want to know what you guys think of this video down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.